We spend so much of our lives, right, learning how to navigate the world out there, our jobs, our friends, our endless to-do lists. But what if the real story, the most important one, is actually happening somewhere else, somewhere inside, in that huge, hidden landscape of our inner world?
It's a really strange thought, isn't it? I mean, we can pull up a map for anywhere on Earth, follow a GPS without even thinking. But when it comes to our own minds, so often it feels like we're just wandering around in the dark. So what if? What if there was a way to actually start mapping that territory?
Well, to find our way, we can actually turn to the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung. See, he had this incredible idea. He didn't see our psyche, our mind, as just some chaotic mess. No, he saw it as a kind of terrain, a landscape with its own geography, its own layers and landmarks. And the amazing thing is, once you start to get a feel for this internal geography, you start to feel a whole lot less lost.
Okay, so it's super important to get this straight right away. This map we're talking about, it's not some rigid, fixed diagram from a textbook. Not at all. Think of it more as a guide to a dynamic, living, breathing world. Your world. So let's start sketching out this map together, and we'll begin with the most familiar part of the terrain.
All right, so our journey starts right here, on the surface. This is the part of our mind that we're interacting with every single day. It's kind of like the sunlit, daylight side of our psyche.
So, what exactly is consciousness? Well, you can think of it as the narrator in your head. It's literally the part of you that's listening to my voice right now. It's what thinks, what plans, and what's constantly building that story of who I am. This is the part of our mind where we feel like we're in the driver's seat, the part that feels like us. And you see this in action all day, every day. I mean, it's what keeps track of your to-do list. It's what remembers where you put your keys, hopefully. It knows your preferences, like whether you're a coffee or tea person. And it's what creates that continuous story of your life from way back when to right now. It gives us that sense of stability and identity.
But, and this is where things get really interesting, that conscious, controlled part of our mind we think is so solid, it's actually just a tiny little sliver, a thin crust. And just beneath it, there's this vast, deep ocean of stuff that's also part of us, but it's operating completely outside of our awareness. So let's do it. Let's take a deep breath and dive beneath that surface. Because down here, we find the hidden depths of the mind, the vast, powerful unconscious that is constantly shaping our lives from below, whether we realize it or not. Okay, so the first layer we hit is what Jung called the personal unconscious. The easiest way to think about it is like a massive storage unit, but for your entire life. Everything you've ever experienced that you're not actively thinking about is in here. Forgotten memories, old fights, those super embarrassing moments, intense feelings you just didn't know what to do with back then. They're not gone. Oh no, they're just kind of waiting in the wings. So have you ever totally overreacted to some tiny, harmless comment? Or felt a sudden jolt of fear in a perfectly safe situation? Maybe you find yourself avoiding a great opportunity and you can't logically explain why. Or you have one of those classic slips of the tongue. Yep, that's the personal unconscious bubbling up to the surface. See, it's not some dusty old archive, it's an active force. That big reaction, it's probably not about what your friend just said. It's about some old stuff that just got triggered, and now it's steering the ship from below. But if we go even deeper, past all of our own personal history, Jung suggested we find something, wow, something truly profound. He called it the collective unconscious. And get this part isn't about your life. It's not about your memories or your experiences. It's about the shared psychological inheritance of all human beings everywhere across all time. It's like our psychological DNA.
And the stuff that makes up this deep, deep layer, Jung called them archetypes. They're basically universal patterns of experience. Think about it. You didn't invent the idea of the hero's journey, or the wise guide, or the mischievous trickster. You know these characters instinctively. They show up in our myths, our movies, our dreams. That's because, according to Jung, you were born with these patterns already inside you. They're like these ancient blueprints for what it means to be human. And here's the really crucial part. These layers, the conscious, the personal unconscious, the collective unconscious, they aren't neatly stacked like pancakes, not at all. They're constantly interacting, bleeding into each other. So a conflict you have today might poke an old childhood wound from your personal unconscious, which then resonates with some ancient archetypal fear from the collective unconscious, like a fear of being abandoned. So when you feel one of those reactions that just seems way too big for the situation, that's a huge clue that multiple layers are getting activated all at once. Okay, so why are we doing all this? Why does any of this matter? What's the point of having this map of your inner world? Well, the answer is simple and it's huge. It moves you from a state of total confusion to a place of, well, orientation. You start to know where you are. Just look at this comparison. It really says it all. Without a map, life feels totally random and chaotic, right? You're constantly blaming yourself for your reactions. Why am I so sensitive? Why did I do that? You keep trying to fix your behavior on the surface. But with a map, suddenly you have a sense of orientation. You stop blaming yourself because you can see the deeper patterns at play. You can stop just treating the symptoms and start to understand the real source. And that, right there, is the game changer. It gives you the chance to actually relate to your inner world, instead of just feeling like you're being swallowed by it.
And you know, the best part about all of this is that you don't need some special training or mystical vision to begin this journey. Nope. All you really need is a little bit of curiosity. So let's talk about 3 really simple ways you can start exploring your own inner territory, like starting today.
So, where do you start looking? First, notice repetition. Just pay attention. What emotional situations or relationship patterns keep popping up in your life over and over again? That's a huge clue. Second, notice intensity. Where are those moments that trigger a reaction that just feels way too big for what's happening? That's another trailhead. And third, notice the imagery. What symbols, scenes, or characters keep showing up in your dreams, or even just in your daydreams? Each one of these things is like a doorway, a clue that's inviting you to look a little deeper into your own unique landscape. Look, a map isn't the same thing as actually walking the terrain, of course, but it is the first, absolutely essential step to any journey. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. You are not just a random bundle of reactions. Your inner life isn't just noise. You are a landscape, a world, one with incredible depth, a rich history, and profound meaning. And the journey of starting to explore it, that might just be the most rewarding adventure you could ever take.